this looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
And welcome, Soul Seekers. I am your soul guide, Linda Krause-Barnett.
And I'm your other soul guide, Patricia Rivero-Wolfson. We are so happy to be here.
We're in our last week of our 9 energy experiments with E Squared. Energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. I think that hopefully you have realized what an impact your thoughts have on the life that you're living and on your existence and your abundance and your joy and your happiness, because there is a correlation, and that's what these experiments are intended to prove. So we are on week 9, the fish and loaves principle. And she says something interesting on here. She says, you know, from the moment we wake up, we kind of are programmed into lack, when sometimes our very first thought of the day is, I didn't get enough sleep. Now I have not enough time to get ready. And so instantly right out of bed, we're in that lack mentality. And that has a huge impact on snowballing the rest of the day with that mood and that momentum.
You know, I think that it's really important for us for our own well-being, not just for the purpose of this experiment, but for our own well-being, to really notice that life gives us so much beauty. There is so much kindness. There is so much abundance around us. And it's so hard to focus on that because we can equally look for all of the lack and all of the, you know, terrible things that are happening. You turn on the TV, you turn on the news. Even the shows that we watch for enjoyment are full of like drama and, you know, violence. And it's easy to get lost in that story that everything is terrible. And it's easy to feel that way because we're so overwhelmed and stressed out in our day-to-days. It is easy to think like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough patience. I don't have enough of, you know, money. I don't have enough. But it's important for us, and this experiment is going to help us do that, to shift our focus. So maybe you don't feel like you have an abundant source, but if you really actively try to pick out the things or the little things that happen in your life that show you maybe it's not all bad, and you begin with just noticing little kindnesses, or it's one of the reasons why Linda and I look for signs all the time.
You know, it's so funny that we're on this because so Saturday the 16th was my son's 8th birthday, and of course my dog used that as an amazing excuse to get a new outfit out of me. And so we went to Marshall's to get her an outfit, and Dylan saw this like really amazing Nerf gun that like has double bullets and whatever, and it was on sale for like $19.99. And so I was like, okay, it's your birthday, you can have it. So we're walking around looking for an outfit for her, and this lady hears me speaking French to my mom, so she starts speaking French to me, and Dylan comes over and hugs me, and she's like, get it while you can, you know, soak up that love. And I'm like, I know, he just turned 8 and he's still hugging and loving. I'm so excited, you know. And so we're laughing and joking, and I say to her that it's his birthday, and she wishes him happy birthday. And then we walk around a little more, and we end up in the checkout line, and she's directly in front of us. So she walks over to Dylan and she's like, let me see that toy. So he shows her the toy, and she goes, may I buy this for you for your birthday? And I was like, of course, I'm like, no, that's too much. And she's like, this is the season to show what we're made of. And I would like your son to see that on his birthday, there's magic. And I'm telling you, she ripped it out, not ripped it, but grabbed it out of his hand. When it was her turn, walked up to the register, purchased it, bagged it, handed it to my son, and said, happy birthday.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And we sat there, and I was like, Dylan, this is what the world is about. This is like soak this in. I you know, he's only 8 and he's a little boy, and he saying, Mommy, that was so nice of her, you know, but it was like, we were all so taken back by this gesture. And it's because it snaps you into a moment of reality. You know, it snaps you into the moment of like fully embodying the goodness that's out in the world, and it captures it And and I said to Dylan, you're going to be forever changed. Like, you will always remember this.
I'm so glad you had that opportunity to show him, because I think it's really important that we do that for us, that we do it for ourselves, and also to show our children, because that will be a way for us to interrupt that pattern that we have seen in our lives, you know, and justifiably so, you know, like there have been things that have happened, you know, for many generations that show people that, you know, there is that feeling of lack and things haven't been there. But when we have the opportunity to point out, and it reminds me of the, you know, Mr. Rogers, and that quote that always comes up when something terrible happens. Someone always posts the quote. You know, Mr. Rogers said, "Look for the helpers." And I love that quote. Like, no matter what is happening and what tragedy may strike, if you search to look for the people who are helping, the people that are doing good, you know, because there always is somebody.
We talk about it, like, you know, my kids talk about the elves at Christmas. And I always say, like, well, God has elves. They're called angels, and they're always here. It's not just at Christmas time. Like,
oh, I like that. God has elves. They're angels.
Yeah, God has elves. They're called angels, and they're always around, and you can always talk to them and access them. And, you know, you're always protected, and you're always kind of guided. It's 57 in Florida. Can you tell? I'm freezing my little.
I see. When I was there that first day, it was freezing, so I can really.
Like, ridiculous. So anyways, and I think, you know, I want to encourage anybody who watches this video that in addition to this video, please read the last principle in this book, because the anecdotals that she shares and the miracles that she shares of just people, you know, who have had health miracles and money miracles, because we call them miracles because we think they're rare. But what we need to be reminded, and I think this book really does a wonderful job, at least for me, of reminding us, is that miracles are common if we pay more attention, you know? So they're still miracles because they're like abundant and healing, and there's so much goodness. So I'm not opposed to calling them a miracle, but I think that we need to reframe the fact that it's so rare, and that it doesn't happen to everyone, or it doesn't happen often, because it can, and it does. We've just got to really do the muscle work with our brain and our mind and our heart, and kind of do that conscious, you know, looking around and seeing the things it said, one of the quotes in there was, what you appreciate appreciates. That's what
yes.
Appreciates. And that's such a great thing, you know, like what you show gratitude for, what you focus on generates more of the same. So why would we want to focus on lack and generate more of that? That's nobody's intention, is to generate more lack, you know? So focus on abundance and seek abundance and live abundantly, you know, and kid yourself. I'm working on that a lot.
And, you know, there is that, like you were saying, with miracles, we feel that they're rare, but also the word miracle is a matter of perspective. You know, and we've talked about this before, but you can look at a miracle if you're at home and you're depressed and you're afraid to leave the house, or you don't want to leave the house, and you get up and you walk out the door. That's a miracle. Like, it's really a matter of perspective.
Yeah, like breathing is a miracle.
Breathing is a miracle. Or, you know, you see your child having a rough time and they're yelling and screaming and they're fighting. And, you know, you ask them if they want a hug and they say yes, and they're able to release that anger in a moment. That's a miracle. Like, that you're able to shift that energy, or help them shift the energy for that more, that they're able to shift it. Like, really look for, you know, sometimes you're in the middle of, like, you know, you're in a line at the bank and everybody's bitching and it's like, God, this is taking forever. And, you know, and then someone looks at you and you guys just share a little, like, you know, eye roll and smile. That's like a human connection moment that can be considered like a little miracle. Like, in that angst, in that anger, there was like this moment of like human connection. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and like nature is a great tether to reconnect to our concept of miraculous, because I know there are times where things start to feel bigger than me, or my problems start to feel like I can't tackle them. And there are moments where I go outside and I look at the moon, or if it's night, I look at the stars, or I look at the trees and the roots and the height. And I remember my place in like the world, and I'm like, this problem is this fleeting moment in my little tiny being on a floating planet through space and creation and universe. And it's like perspective when you realize just the bigger picture that you're a part of. It allows you to get some sort of handle and perspective on, and I'm not trying to say that your problematic moments are not important, but I'm saying that when you look at something bigger than you, it allows you to be humble in your problems and to kind of place them in their proper perspective.
Yeah, to at least get some relief from feeling.
Right, totally.
That's really where it comes from. It's like, you can just feel some relief that, if the trees...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like if through the winter, like plants can survive and then grow after the snow hits, like I can get through this, like I love how you use nature as your grounding tool. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and rainbows after storms. Mm-hmm. So many examples in front of us, but sometimes it's easier. The thing is, I always say, like, if we could bottle our energy as kids, or like how good you feel when things are working for you, like your relationships are working, your job is working. Like there are these moments where we'll look around and we'll be like, everything is like, okay. And you soak that in. And I wish there was a way to like bottle it up so that when you're not in that moment and you forget and life gets hard, you could like tap back in and remember when things were good, and just know that, it's like a wave, it's going to pass, and then you'll be back to that feeling, and maybe even better, because that problem will have fixed something. So the depth of your joy when you get to it will be even greater.
Yeah.
So hard,
It's a practice. That's the thing, is that I think as people, we forget that it's a practice. It's not like it's like once you graduate, from, a grade in school, when you graduate the second grade, then you still have the third grade and then the fourth grade. So it's like you graduate to the next level. There's always another level, but it's a matter of practice. You get better and better and better. Just like in school, you get better at writing every year. You get better at putting together concepts every year. You're learning, you're growing, you're expanding. And it's easy to see with our children. We can kind of help them, but we forget that as adults, we are also still growing, still learning, and we still have to practice. We have to wake up each morning and remember whether it's a gratitude practice or just like remind yourself to pick out the good things, the abundant things, and the kind things that are happening to you each day. And they are happening each day. And so write them down. And that's what this experiment is. It's literally carrying around a journal, or if you want, just use like the Notes app on your phone. And when something good happens, when you see kindness, when someone does something nice for you, when you have a good moment, write it down and record it. And for the next 48 hours, you are going to see how the more you notice, the more awesome things will happen to you, because it's like what you notice or what you focus on grows, right? It's like what you focus on grows. If you're focusing on the kind moments, on the good things happening, you're going to start to notice more and more. And that's going to fill you with joy.
Exactly. It says the theory is the universe is limitless, abundant, and strangely accommodating.
And it's true. It really is. And on those days where, I'm having a rough day in Linden, I talk about it. We have to sometimes remind each other, like, come back to gratitude, come back to noticing the good stuff. And it's something we do with our children all the time, but we forget to do with ourselves. So this week or the next 2 days, it's all about you. Okay.
So we will be back on Thursday for the results of our last E² experiment. Again, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love your stories. We'd love your feedback. We were so humbled and honored that some of you have been on this journey with us and that you have kind of really worked on this for yourselves. We are super excited because next up comes our launching of Soul Seekers TV, and that is so much joy and abundance and strangely accommodating yumminess. So that's it. We'll see you Thursday at 11:11, and we hope that your thoughts are creating your reality, and that you'll subscribe, right?
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, look up Soul Seekers TV.
Yes,
you'll see our faces. Yes. Subscribe, because in less than 2 weeks we are launching our official pilot. Whoop, whoop.
It's so good, you guys. Come on.
All right.
All right.
Next time.
Bye, everybody.